Hey people, Joe here. Uh, Welcome to a super duper ultra lazy review where I talk over a image of the game I am talking about. So today, talking about Men of War 2. Now, I've noticed a lot of people say, "Oh, well, this game is fine, Joe. What do you mean?" Uh, as a longtime player to the Men of War series and who knows of the game's sordid history with developers, well, let me tell you guys, those rosy glasses that you guys have from previous titles, I think you guys are seeing things because the game never had health bars, but I guess you guys did somehow. I don't know. I never saw health bars whenever I played, so I guess I'm not taking my crazy pill today. So I'm going to be reading off a list of issues that I noticed while playing the game. I've noted this in my Steam review, so that way if you ever want to be curious, you can check my Steam and see my reviews. So let's go. Issue 1. The game's online only. Now, as a friend has pointed out to me, online only is so that way it can prevent day one piracy, but here's my thing. If you're worried about piracy on day one, then you're worried about your sales quota. That means you're worried about losing on whatever little money you can get. And I pity you for that. So, issue 2 was supposed to be the game editor having faults. But it turns out the online only is why the game editor doesn't work. So the game editor, you're supposed to be able to every game that ever used the game engine, the gem engine, you're supposed to be able to go into the editor and you can play the missions. Everything's there. But for some unforeseen reason, they've taken the editor and they've scooped all the maps out. Now, why could this be? Well, I'll tell you why. It's called They Skipped Them Out, so that way you'd have to play the multiplayer. You'd have to go onto their connected server, which can crash, by the way. Yeah, me and friends noticed that. The servers will crash for no reason. And you'll be kicked out of a match and you'll be glitched for a minute and you have to restart the game. So that's annoying. And another issue is the fact that they kept saying, "Oh, we're making an offline mode." Why didn't it release with an offline mode other than you guys needing to pad the sales numbers for your developer? And, well, not the developer, but the publisher. Issue 3, the UI. The UI has changed so aggressively since Men of War 1 that it's downright unintuitive. That's right, no longer are the days of you clicking simple buttons, now you're clicking like random small buttons at the bottom that no longer make sense to people. In fact, I had to relearn all the controls again because guess what? They're all different. Nothing's the same and everything's annoying. Except X, well, C and V and X. In fact, you're mainly clicking C just so you can see bodies and crates, and I will give them credit. I like the ability to see inside of crates because it gives me a little like heads up, like, hey, this is what's inside this item, or this is what's here. It saves me some real big time. Another issue was the fact that everything felt super arcadey. But to address this fault, they added realism mode. However, this is still an issue for me because guess what? The game shouldn't have released like an arcade game. It should have released with realism mode on by default and the arcade mode as the mod. Instead, they made it so you have to enable realism mode as a package first, download a patch file to fix it, and guess what? The realism mode isn't even like the original realism from like every other game. It's just barely acceptable now as like, oh yeah, this is like the other Men of Wars now. Now, I used a single player map from A lovely person, by the way, who made a mod for this game within the first 5 hours of its release called Fallen Eagles, I think. Anyways, used his map and I tested out some damage. In arcade mode, a light tank will survive 2 shots from a bazooka. Excuse me, but what? Medium tanks 3 to 4, and heavy is 4 to 5. I wish I was kidding, but those are the damage numbers. Obscene. An important thing to note is you'll always decrew within the first shot with a bazooka. Weird, right? However, what comes after is the worst part. Your hull damage doesn't get refreshed after a repair. It stays the same. This is the same in all the other games, so it's not really a big problem, but it's prominent, noticeable, and really annoying. So yeah, not fun. And in realism mode, everything one-shots. Which I know some people that seems annoying, but honestly, that's the way Men of War should be. You get too close to a bazooka, you're gonna ask for it, so you use infantry to clear them out. Now, issue 5. Oh god, issue 5 was the worst in my opinion. And that's what took me and my friends almost 10 hours to figure out. We played the campaign. Multiplayer. Now, the problem with the campaign in the multiplayer mode is it's not like the single player campaign. Multiple campaigns in single player, you have like all these modes. I don't have a problem with them because I haven't played them. And the fact that apparently they use real world money, like a denominator for real world money, but it's not real world money. Really confusing. I haven't touched those yet. Wanna know why? Because I don't want to touch them. You still need to connect to a central server, so in my mind, I should be allowed to have friends. Instead, I'm stuck with the multiplayer missions I get. Not all the single player missions that would be compatible with multiplayer are multiplayer. And some of the missions are big mishouts. There's one mission, the Normandy Landing. Not multiplayer compatible. There's a couple more, but the big one was that Normandy Landing. Like, why, for whatever reason, would you gut the Normandy Landing? That is the biggest thing that you've included in single player, and you just neglected it from multiplayer. But the biggest issue is the spiking of difficulty. Now, the spiking of difficulty, for those that don't understand, in normal Men of War, you'd get a little spike. It'd be a little bit of a spike. It wouldn't be too bad. You'd maybe find an extra 2 tanks. My friends played on very easy, so we would hope we'd avoid all this difficulty spiking. We were wrong. So, the AI cheats like no tomorrow. It'll track you when it can't see you. I wish I was kidding, but the gun will always be on you when it can't see you. Which, by the way, number one rule whenever you're doing AI is don't have it track through walls. No other Men of War has this problem, but this one. I think that's a symptom of it being a copy of Men of War Arena, but cleverly disguised so we don't think of it like Men of War Arena. But the real difficulty spikes come in when, say, you have to hold the river in one of the multiplayer missions. Well, you now have to fight back against 90 tanks. I wish I was kidding, but there is around 90 tanks from the German side coming to get you. Now, while you do get reinforcements, that lessens the burden. You have to survive the initial wave of around 70 tanks with the tanks you get reinforced with, which, by the way, are not great. You have BT-7s, T-26s, and T-28s, and your one buddy gets like a T-30. He gets the big gun. Like the big tank with multiple turrets. That's not great. That's kind of deathly, because you're going to lose. And we almost did. The game really doesn't respect the players enough for me to like it. Or the other difficulty spike I have encountered that was so egregious that it nearly made me stop playing was a German mission. You're a group of men, you have to take over an airfield. And at first you're only given a pack truck, but then you're given a big wave of reinforcements, which you will lose, by the way, because there's a small problem with the game from being copied from Men of War Arena. Units don't carry all the tags anymore. That means one unit will be able to detect mines. These are your sappers. No one else can detect mines if they pick up a mine detector. Every game before this, a guy picks up a mine detector. He's a sapper now. He'll detect mines and deactivate them. Now, in that mission, good luck, because he can't detect the mines and he'll just detonate on a mine and die instantly. Now, that wouldn't be too bad if the Minesweeper tank worked. But sadly, because I believe, and I have a good reason to believe, that the game will spawn landmines in on the fucking player. Because guess what? This Minesweeper tank will not detonate any mines. That's right. You can have him drive in a straight fucking line and not detonate a single mine. But the second a truck follows the exact route he followed, he'll blow up. How is that a feature? That's the Minesweeper tank just not working. And I have a feeling it's a symptom of them not fact-checking their missions because they didn't think anybody would be stupid enough to play them. And the worst part of that is the fact that I've seen them just constantly regurgitating the same statement to every comment. Except mine. And the developer who just keeps copy-pasting. Why? You're just seeming like a horse's ass, and you're trying to milk whatever cash you guys can out of these people. And the other issue there, in that same mission, where the mine detectors just don't fucking work. Yes, I know, I'm not gonna get monetized YouTube, I swore. But the problem is the fact that there's a Pershing here there that's a super Pershing. Yeah, a super Pershing. Oh, yeah, that one-of-a-kind tank that would have not seen service in this battle because it literally got shipped in at the super late tail end of the war. Only Pershings were really going to be seen. And guess what? As if that wasn't funny enough, there's a second super Pershing on the exact next mission. So not only is there one super Pershing, there's two of them. Mind you, you blow one up. But that still doesn't change the fact that there's two of them. Now, mind you, if you're a good player, you'll take out the two Pershings in that level that has the new Pershing as well, by the way. Because guess what? As if the developer saying, oh, there's a super Pershing in this level isn't enough. That super Pershing in that level, I have reason to suspect, it's got invulnerability. Because the Tiger tank would be able to shoot it, and it'd do nothing. Which is also another common occurrence for some reason. Your infantry just not dealing damage. And yet they would just take a single shot with a Garand and you're instantly doomed. It's almost like very easy makes the game acceptable. But the AI still gets the immediate aimbot tracking through walls, and the utter Russian horde levels of infantry, tanks, and every other support piece you could name. This game is not a fun game. It's a I'm going to refund it and leave game. I wish there was other words to explain this game. This game has so much raw potential in it. It had so much going for it. And then the second it hits the gate, it falls so short that it's laughable. It hits this first stride and trips over the goddamn starting hurdle. It doesn't even make it to the end of the race. Men of War, Faces of War, those games, they'd probably make it to at least the last hurdle and trip or something. Gates of Hell and Assault Squad games, those would probably obviously make it. Those games are propped up by their communities at this point. But the point is, Men of War 2 is just not ready. And would need to be fundamentally changed because so much of the core game has changed from the original that you can't even call this Men of War 2. It's Men of War Arena 2, which would be a better term because that game died upon launch, just like this one. In fact, if I want to be even more fair, I would have a better time saying Metal Gear Survive is a superior game to the original Metal Gear series than trying to say Men of War 2 is a superior game to Men of War. Heck, if I said Metal Gear Survive was a superior game to Metal Gear, the fans would crucify me. And yet, when somebody says Men of War 2 is a superior direct upgrade to Men of War, nothing happens. People treat it like the holy gospel. It's like, what a great idea. And then people are like, oh, these people are review bombing. They don't know anything. We're playing this game, and it's like a dumpster fire that just keeps rolling down the hill. I don't tint my rosy glasses with nostalgia. I just look at the game straight and go, damn, this shit sucks. Well, time to end my rant of super duper ultra lazy reviews, but this game's a 1 out of 10. I know some people are going to find reason to criticize my super lazy review style, but honestly, I couldn't even be bothered to change anything. You know what? I'll be nice to you. There, you get a new image. Wow. Wait. Oh my god. I can't tell if those are P-51s or or the Russian aircraft in that picture. Anyways, and a review. 1 out of 10. If I went any lower, I would say this is a non-functioning game. But it functions. You want to know what else it functions as? A waste on my hard drive. Does that pretty good. But that was all for me, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye!